That was just whatever. I mean, look at the system has been in place, taking people out, and it's ho hum, and it is like automatic. They get you. They say this. The report's this. Nothing's really veered. It's just a assembly line. The medical marijuana, it's a voter initiative to stop that. And my point was that you've got this war with these strange people that are like doing this well, and it's kind of greased so tight that it's like unbreakable, and they just keep bringing new people into it, moving new people out, rotate them back in, and it's just a system where it's just a way to just generate, keep this beast going. And then you have medical marijuana, and nothing was done to try to reprogram that. That's my olive branch. I'll give them that, okay? A lot of people realize that what's taking place, but it doesn't stop them. It doesn't. This is the banality of evil. We're in a war. They're in a war. A war is like, I'll kill for that because I'm on this team.
Yeah.
And it's literally, that's how it is in the lying and the stuff that goes on in the stand. It's because it's a war mentality, a loyalty in a war that is based on a lie. I don't know. Can you expect rational thinking when it's okay to kick down a door, or
and take their stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Or the fact
Steal, and then blame them. And I got to say this, at this point, I have great hope that we are going to be heard by the masses, that we're going to be able to change these dynamics, because we are in a time of cultural reckoning where we are hearing on a regular basis women speaking truth to power regarding men in power being predatory. And this is what I see these roving bands of drug task forces as predatory to women. They will dump out your dildo drawer. They will steal. I have a friend whose mother was raided by the Tri-County Drug Task Force 30 years ago, and they took her naked pictures, and she went down there and said, "Give me back my pictures, write me out." And they did. 30 years ago, Michael. 30 years ago. Okay? And so what happened to you, Amanda? Well, let's see. This was March of 2015, right? If you don't want to talk about it, I understand. I totally understand. You don't have to.
It's just the matter of all of
you were sexually. Would you deem it sexual harassment?
Well, I certainly would, because anytime that somebody comes into your private things,
they're
that are strangers. They
come into your house,
like a violation.
They pull things out of your closets.
Privacy. Yeah. There's no reason to look at my socks.
You might have something important in your socks.
I might.
Amanda.
Get some cool socks.
I might.
Well, I think we've just had enough. I think that going forward with this, people need to know that this happens all the time. I know that there's a sexual harassment component of the lawsuit in St. Clair County with the drug task force there from Annette Shattuck and Jen Hensey, and the initial raids that they executed on both businesses and homes in that instance. And the same things, lying cops on the stand, Michael shotgunning them again and again.
I want to go back to the CIs.
Catching them in lies.
Yes, the CIs, because this is an area where it's just...
yes.
It lends itself to the... we in the right spot?
It's perfect.
All right. It lends itself to some really strange behavior. We're talking about a war.
The confidential informants.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about a war and the craziness of the principles of war and how all is justified, the ends justify the means in the name of the war. And, police... I know this is... We're going to talk about this, do a whole show about it, but during investigations, police officers are allowed to lie.
Yeah.
And now they're allowed to bring in CIs, which are, by definition, people who are going to lie. They're people that 99.9% of the time, if they're not lying, they're motivated for their own
personal gain,
and will do and say what is necessary for their own personal gain. It's an inherent motive issue of why they're there and why they're involved. And it doesn't take a lot. As a side note, as I learned so much of the darkness of the CI in Amanda's case, which we're going to talk about, when I cross-examined one of the officers in another case, this Grand Rapids case, I was trying to get at, what dirty deed did the CI do, or what dirty deed did the CI were they working off for you to use them to purchase medical marijuana with their card, or to have them purchase medical marijuana? And I said, was it like a robbery? I said, oh, no. We don't use people. Their crime has to be one that's a victimless crime, because these crimes are victimless crimes. Out of his own mouth.
What?
Out of his own mouth. Not this case, But I'm just saying this is in the jury trial I had in Grand Rapids. Like I couldn't have asked for a better. And I mean, what he didn't realize was going on was he was defending the CI that we use is not a violent person. They didn't hurt anyone. Their bad deed that they're working off is victimless.
That's infuriating.
Of course it is. It means there's like what is that? So anyways, it was ridiculous. I use that a lot in my closing arguments. It didn't matter because it's fucking infuriating. But anyways, but what I'm getting at is that it doesn't take a lot. This particular CI in this case, and they admitted that the program does not allow for what she was doing. You can't be buying marijuana in a controlled buy one day for the police, and then buying it in uncontrolled or for medical purposes the next day. You can't. I just can't do it. Do you see what I'm saying? She bought it one day for the police. She goes and, hey, it's me. I'm here to check in.
That's crazy.
25% day off here. Give me my.
That's why you yell all the time. You have to deal with crazy shit all the time, every day.
Like, that's not medical. Like well, why did you go this day? Because I was out of marijuana. Well, why did you give it to Detective Zinser? Well, because he. Because I needed it for home. I was out of marijuana. I had migraines. I got a serious debilitating condition. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so this is the insanity that's going on.
And it's being prosecuted by the Attorney General's office.
This is the CI.
How many?
This is the CI.
Yeah, this is the case that's being prosecuted by the AG. Now, how does that funding work? Like, do tax dollars fund the Attorney General's efforts? Do we know this?
Yeah, I'm sure they get a piece of the
forfeitures. They have equity sharing with the forfeitures.
I'm sure, and I don't know, and I imagine they're like in the largest, if budgeted, of the agencies, if not.
Well, they have 8 new marijuana. We'll say this again. They have 8 new marijuana enforcement attorneys.
400 lawyers work in that office.
Don't you have a case in the northern part of the state where you have the prosecutor so confused that she had to ask for the AG's help up there?
Yeah, they're not busy enough. There's not a lot of other prosecutors that oh yeah, I can help you in your case and I want to, but sure enough, we're raising some hell in this. I don't know. I mean, I'm up there. Me and Dewey on a full tank of gas, wearing sunglasses at night. Just from imagery.
Here, I got some notes from this.
You
told me the prosecutor is so insecure that they have to have help from the Attorney General's office. Yeah. I show up and the Attorney General was there, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" Like, that's crazy. You're in a little tiny town up north. And the prosecutor herself,
or whatever her budget is, what they get for whatever.
Why is the Attorney General following you around?
She said if other counties need help.
Training their attorneys, I propose. Chad, doesn't that make sense?
Training them on the disclosure rules, at least.
Because you're on the cutting forward edge of this emerging marijuana reform law. I mean, heck yeah.
It wouldn't have anything to do with a prior case to the one that we were just talking about where you spanked her awful bad then, would it? You don't think she had to call in for some extra help on the second time around?
I'll tell you this is what it is. And my client, who's got a lot of courage, refuses to plead guilty. And their whole program is set up for that. As long as that's taking place, she can deal with it. The second she's got to respond to me and motions and fight, whatever. That's what the program. That's how the program doesn't work.
But what does this have to do with public health or safety?
Nothing.
Listen. I just want to say this. Huh? They have a 63% arrest rate for murder. They're admitting it's a victimless crime. Like, that's criminal, Michael.
So here's the worst part about it.
What's wrong with Michigan?
Here's the worst part about it. One of the worst part about it. This person who. Is not a good person. I mean, I'm not. I guess okay. I take that back. It's really judgmental, but I'm in a position as a lawyer to point out her flaws and the things that she did and why it's not right morally. And there's even objective. You never know anyone's story, but nevertheless, what takes place, what's really going on. And my biggest complaint was that when asked about her. Reason and motivation for testifying, why she was there. She gave an answer that she was there because she wasn't getting anything in return. That she was there not as a paid or contracted, but she just was doing it out of the goodness of her heart and said something to the effect of like, well, she's just selling marijuana to anybody, including myself.
Yeah,
she would be.
What she was saying. She just did it because she was a good citizen.
And I couldn't understand that. I said to her, "Are you
How
here
does that
by?"
make any sense?
I said, "Are you here by way of subpoena date?" She goes, "No." I go, "No."
Doesn't make any sense.
Chet,
Doesn't.
you're not here by subpoena. No.
He's
Why are you here?
validating me. Thank you, Chad.
Why are you here? Because and I said, "How did someone get in touch?" Because I'm trying to figure out how did you get to become this, right? Like usually comes like after they've raided you.
Gosh, what happened?
How can I get out of this? You've been arrested.
Up,
How do I get out of this? Or someone no. So and whatever that answer was that was given under oath was not true. I was troubling at the time, but they gave the answer. I'm never going to find out differently. How can I, if they say it and the prosecutor's not telling me and the police aren't giving that information over to me, I have no way of knowing. So, as it turns out,
You know what you only know.
and it bothered me a lot. Why? And then there she was up in circuit court, making her case, telling her story, showing up. And you know what? It's a little annoying. She kept having to come back. She's got to put up with me. I'm not going to be easy on her. But there she was. What did she get in it? What's her motivation here? She's still, just a good-hearted, trying to save the world from selling.
Tough
Very
on
dedicated.
crime.
Very dedicated indeed.
So it turns out that
Pro cop.
prosecutor at some point became a judge, and we started the trial. And a few days into the trial, it was learned by the new prosecutor that, in fact, all that we had been told about this particular CI,
The
who had
one that's doing
testified,
this out of the goodness of her heart.
Yes.
was not true.
Because Amanda would sell to anybody.
Because she had actually been involved with her boyfriend, who was charged with 3 CCEs, continuing criminal enterprises, as along with other persons as well, and thousands and thousands of dollars of forfeiture. This woman, not only was she doing this for her boyfriend's case, but she had all kinds of liability. She drove. And we were talking about marijuana selling out of state, Kentucky.
Oh my
Yeah. So this is who we
But that's
find out.
nonviolent, and so is so are you.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
it's
I'm
nonviolent.
extremely dangerous, helping patients in Michigan, all the, qualified, registered with the state.
And
Everybody had a card.
Yeah. So this is their superstar.
Openly operating as a business
Openly
with
operating.
a fine relationship with the local law enforcement.
Yeah.
And that's how you were able to get entrapment by estoppel. You were able to use that to get the charges dismissed in Washtenaw County.
No.
No, I'm wrong.
The illegal search of the house was Washtenaw County. The judge threw it out because they had no
Illegal
reason to go to the house. Fourth
search.
Amendment violation. Fourth Amendment.
Beautiful.
We brought these motions, and I should say, as it goes sometimes,
Good.
let me say this. Every
As is
We
proper.
should be free of search and seizure. What
Right.
the heck is going on?
no, there's no Fourth Amendment. We had a courageous judge in
yeah.
in
I mean,
our,
they just do whatever they want, and they deal with it later. If someone like you makes noise,
I mean, I don't know. Listen, it's not like you hear every day that judges are tossing cases.
no.
And if they do, they appeal. The Court of Appeals reverses them and makes
Yes.
some bad law. It's
Yeah.
not a.
Blaine was not going to appeal, or whoever it was.
No, it was-
Blake.
No, this was the Attorney General also. They
There?
From the
Oh.
beginning, this was an attorney
didn't
general
they,
case.
They
Appeal.
messed the deadline. It was in transition time. I'm
Western
telling you.
Oh,
I'm
that's
telling you.
Western Way
Great.
Narcotics.
Western Wayne Narcotics
Great.
Task Force.
Gosh, that one was slam
Did they do that on the
dunked
Barry
right
case
there
as
in
well?
the district
Yes.
court so fast.
So yeah. So
Wait a minute. That's a trend.
what's that?
That's a complete trend. The Western Wayne
Yeah.
Task Force being used by the Attorney General's office.
They're the worst.
To generate
That's why they're just
cases in medical marijuana that are
Stinky.
legal.
I also think this.
Proven legal by their own hands.
No, I'll tell you this
Stinky.
also.
Yeah.
In Wayne County, I don't think the Wayne County prosecutor Kim Worthy or her office of the drug over the drug prosecutor, they don't want these cases.
No, they don't.
So the Western Wayne calls out for the Attorney General. That's what's happening. Or the Attorney General makes themselves
enforcer.
available. Yeah. That's how
Yeah.
it's going down. And
But they're going out to Livingston County. They're going Western
They're
Wayne.
piggy. They're
Western
super
Wayne.
piggy.
Oh yeah.
You know, they went out to Washtenaw for you.
Yeah.